Have you ever wondered why things haven't worked out with an ex of yours? Or do you tend to go for the same kind of person over and over again? Or did you think that someone was very compatible with you, but as you spent more time with them, you realized that they weren't really that compatible with you? Relationships and love are constant choices, and you have to choose to want to make it work, make compromises, build it up each and every day. And in order to do that, you have to have an almost intuitive knowledge and understanding of yourself and also your partner. And the one thing to really help you kind of determine what's going on is to look at yours and your partner's attachment styles. So this week's video is going to be explaining to you guys the attachment theory and what it is and how it affects your relationships. If you haven't been to my page before, welcome. I'm Hamasa. I look at personal development as well as emotional and mental well-being and just day-to-day issues. So please do subscribe to my page so that you're up to date with my future videos. Basically, this theory was established by a British psychologist in the late 1950s and 60s, and he came up with attachment theory, and he divided it up into 3 different types, main types, and there's a 4th one, but predominantly people fall under the 3 types of attachment styles, and so that's how you conduct yourself in relationships. These attachment styles tend to stem from childhood, as most things do when it comes to your psychological well-being. But attachment is predominantly your relationship as a baby, as a toddler, as a teen to your primary caregiver. So it is such a direct correlation with what happens to you in childhood as to how you're going to then conduct your future relationships into adulthood. So that's why there's been numerous studies done on the attachment theory, and I just wanted to disclose this because I think it's important for us to know that most of these researchers just have looked into kids and children, because that's where really the attachment theory develops, and you kind of, that gets set in stone for you as to how you conduct your life in the future. However, having said that, I've also realized doing more research that your attachment style doesn't mean that it's stuck with you for life. It doesn't mean that this is what you have to be for the rest of your life. It actually changes as you grow and evolve as a person. So I've actually realized that I used to be one sort of attachment style, and I'm slowly going into another. And the sooner you're aware of it, the sooner you know what's going on, the sooner you can make adjustments and see why you attract these type of people, or why things work out or don't work out the way you want them to. So let's look at these attachment theories. The first one is the secure attachment style. The secure attachment style is when the child had a really good relationship with their primary caregiver. They trusted them, the caregiver was always there, they validated them emotionally, so the child felt very safe and secure growing up. And that in adulthood translates into healthy, happy relationships with people who are quite content, don't worry about losing their partners, are not fearful about expressing themselves in the relationship, or being honest about how they feel, understand their worth and value, and overall grow to be quite happy and content humans. And that's kind of the 50% of the population. They have the secure attachment style. These type of relationships, both of the partners kind of grow at the same pace, similar pace. They're healthy, they're secure. They not only can express themselves very easily in the relationship, but they also feel very good and secure about letting their partner have freedom and be who they are, and they can accept that and feel sure enough of the strength of their relationship that it'll pull through. However, having a secure attachment style and being with another secure attached person does not mean perfection. So these relationship style too have their difficulties, ups and downs, and obstacles, but the difference is how they can overcome them. Secure style of attachment usually looks at issues and things as a platform to help you grow and build a better foundation with your partner. You don't get scared of fights and disagreements. You can sit, speak, and resolve it and move on. The next attachment style is the anxious attachment style. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky, which affects about 20% of the population. So it's quite a high number of people, and it's something that most people don't even realize they have. So they're constantly feeling unfulfilled in their relationships because they are putting out the most amount of love and affection and needing a lot of love and affection. And when it's not met from their partner, then they feel very disheartened. So this is all the overthinkers. This is all the anxious people. These are the people who romanticize love, romanticize relationships, have very unrealistic expectations of the time and attention that they expect from their partner. They're extremely clingy. They tend to want to save someone, or at times want to be saved by their partner. They're very overbearing. If they don't get it their way, they get really anxious and aggressive and upset and emotional. And it's just very, they're just constantly anxious of this relationship and wanting to please their partner and just do whatever it takes, because they don't have, or they haven't been nurtured to understand self-regulation, to be self-aware, to understand themselves better. And so they need that validation, that justification of wanting to get it from someone else, and to basically be there and be needed and be loved. And they're just very insecure in the relationship and worry about their partner leaving them and turning their back. So they overcompensate. So if they feel like they're not getting the love and affection they want, they give even more of that back to their partner. So it can become a little bit suffocating for the person on the receiving end. And it's obviously very unhealthy and very anxious for you to be in that position. The next type of attachment style is the avoidant attachment style. And this is where the person is quite independent and very self-sufficient. They avoid deep connections, they avoid being vulnerable, they avoid emotional connections, they avoid opening up, they avoid speaking about their feelings or getting too emotional, getting too in touch with those feelings. And obviously it becomes very difficult dealing with them. They keep everybody at an arm's length. And it's absolutely fine to want to seek a little bit of alone time or independence within the relationship. So if anything, it's healthy. But people who have avoidant attachment style tend to do that way more. So they seek that a lot more. They want to do things individually, alone, and so they push their partner away and create this sort of a gap and confusion in the partner's mind, because they just choose to be by themselves and they never really open up about anything too deep or emotional, because they feel like that makes them vulnerable. So that's why people with avoidant attachment styles tend to not have very deep, long relationships, or not that many close relationships. The issue here is that people who have an anxious attachment style tend to get attracted to people who have an avoidant attachment style, and vice versa. It's just what's built in their pathology. And that's where it becomes very tricky and difficult when you have anxious attachment style and your partner has avoidant. You are constantly left confused and wanting excessive love and affection because that's who you are, and your partner feels extremely overwhelmed and suffocated with your neediness and clinginess. So I feel like I need to do a video on that more in depth, to look at dynamic between anxious and avoidant style relationships, because I feel like it's a whole new topic on its own. But I'm going to finish off by looking into the fourth type of attachment style, the fearful avoidant. Now this is confusing because it's a mix of both. They're fearful of being alone and crave intimacy and closeness, but at the same time they're extremely fearful of opening up. At the same time, they don't want to make themselves vulnerable, rely on someone else, get attached, get close. So they too don't tend to have many close relationships. Their feelings overwhelms them. They don't know how to regulate their feelings. At times where they feel rejected and hurt, they tend to cling on their partner, and at other times they could be extremely neglectful and very detached. So it becomes very confusing for the person on the receiving end, but it's also confusing for them because they don't know how to regulate their feelings and how to deal with it. The sooner we figure out where we're going wrong and what sort of attachment style we have and where we need to do the work, the sooner we will start attracting the compatible and right kind of partners for ourselves, and we can change our lives altogether because of the relationships that we form. Because as much as it's good to be self-sufficient and independent, as the avoidant attachment style people might think. It is also not in our human nature to be by ourselves and be so reclusive or alone. We're social beings, we're made to be around people. So it's so important for us to learn to build, first of all, a great, strong relationship with ourselves. So becoming self-aware, understanding our strengths and weaknesses, and working on the areas that we need to work on. But then secondary, also make and build relationships with people that we care about, and to form meaningful, deep bonds and not avoid it at any cost the minute you feel a little bit vulnerable. So I hope that you guys found this video helpful. I will look into making another one that looks at the dynamic between anxious and avoidant styles and how they end up being in relationships and what ends up happening. It's very similar to a narcissist and a codependent dynamic. So we're just going to look into different traits that you should watch out for and things that you could do to manage that. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please do follow me, subscribe to my page, like and comment on this video, and I will see you guys here again next week. Thanks for watching. Mwah.